Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Momita, moderator for the conference call. As a reminder, all participants will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star and then 0 on your touchtone telephone. Please note this conference is recorded. I would now like to hand over the floor to Mr. Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Momita. On behalf of DAM Capital, we welcome you all to the Q4 FY22 earnings call of Nava Bharat Ventures Limited. From the management side, we have Mr. Ashwin Dhanani, CEO, Mr. Sultan Abag, CFO, Mr. J.R.K. Prasad, Executive Director, Mr. V.S.N. Raju, Company Secretary, and Mr. Nikhil Devanani, Senior Vice President. Without much delay, I'll hand over the floor to Mr. Ashwin Devanani for the opening remarks, which will be followed by Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mohit, and a very good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us for our year-end and Q4 results discussion. I hope everyone is keeping safe. I believe all would have gone through our results and press release. It is particularly gratifying to be celebrating the company's golden jubilee when the business outlook looks promising. Our FY22 standalone performance is a testimony of our resilience, strenuously built over the last 5 decades and over several commodity cycles. I will begin this session by giving a quick run-through of our businesses and corporate plans. The manganese alloy business reported robust growth during FY22 on the back of sustained high demand from the steel industry, coupled with advanced procurement of manganese ore. The onset of the 60 megawatts IPP from June 2021 brought about resurgence in the Orissa works. The company's subsidiary secured exploration rights on a manganese ore concession in Ivory Coast, West Africa, affording further value-add opportunities. A significant margin play in the power business was seen with spurts in IEX rates and short-term trades, though coal cost and availability thereof continue to remain a major concern. The Zambian coal mining business attained traction with higher volume and better realizations. The Zambian subsidiary expects a lasting solution on the power offtake front to emerge soon, paving way for sustainable business and debt service. The 300 megawatt power plant is running at full capacity post the major overhauls of the 2 units in Zambia. The monetization efforts concerning the land assets of the company got revived through a favorable judicial order in Telangana, aside from regulatory clearance in Andhra Pradesh. I trust that all of you have gone through the detailed statements of the financial results filed with the stock exchanges and uploaded on our website. I would now look forward to an active interaction with all of you on this call for any further clarifications. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Please press star and 1 on your telephone keypad and wait for your turn to ask the question. If you would like to withdraw your request, you may do so by pressing star and 1 again. So our first question from Mr. Srinivasa Rao from Mandava Individual Investor. Please go ahead, sir.
Numbers. And what is the state of our arbitration proceedings to be resumed? On what ground they have gone for appeal against the interim arbitration award?
Yes. So in terms of the arbitration process, it is currently ongoing. As you probably know, there was an interim order for about $250 million, which they have appealed, but discussions are currently, underway with VESCO to recover that amount. In terms of the grounds of appeal, I think the matter is in the middle of arbitration, so I'm not in liberty to talk about the particulars and details of the arbitration on this call.
Thank you, sir. Now, our next question from Mr. Bharat H. Shah. He's an individual investor. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello.
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 Yes, Mr. Shah.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's our management has in last 40-50 years they have created a good infrastructure in our country. So in future, whether we are going to go with here expansion, big expansion in India, because there is a lot of scope in power sector and other our related activities. So I want to know about this. Thank you.
I think, as a company, in the last 40-50 years, yes, we did create a lot of value and we have a fairly significant presence in India. In terms of expansion, we're always looking at new opportunities where we weigh out the benefits and also the risks. So if there are new promising opportunities and there are synergies with currently what we do, then we will definitely explore it, irrespective of location.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question from Mr. Reem Patel from DAM Capital. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Patel.
Yeah. So firstly, congratulations on a very good set of numbers. So my question to you is, how much coal are you expecting to sell in Zambia for FY23?
Yeah. So in terms of our Zambian coal, I think what we have forecasted for this year is about 40,000 tons on a monthly basis in terms of outside sales, meaning not selling to our power plant, but outside customers. So 40,000 a month, that's what we forecast.
Okay. And so how are the realizations for ferroalloys and what's the outlook for FY23?
So, Patel, the realizations for ferroalloys for FY22 have been outstanding. The average realization per metric ton was up 42% over the preceding year at about 95,000 rupees. Going forward, fortunately, we have made a lot of advanced bookings for which we are essentially sold out for Q1. And even in Q2, we have very limited quantities available. So in the near term, the outlook looks good. And moreover, 30% of our production is linked up with a large Japanese consumer on on an index basis. So that kind of insulates us from any major volatility in the market going forward.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question from Mr. Gunath Singh from Countercycle PMS. Please go ahead, sir.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. So we just discussed about the realizations of ferroalloys, and we also know that the coal prices are also at an all-time high. So can we discuss a price trend of coal prices, coal realization basically, and what we expect them to be in the coming quarters?
Sorry, I mean, you're talking about domestic coal you're talking about the Zambian coal realization?
Yes, the domestic coal realization.
Coal realization. Mr. Singh,
See, the Zambian coal scenario has to be looked at from the aspect of Zambia being landlocked, and we can only service the customers in and around Zambia. At best, we could access the neighboring countries. So, in that respect, the pricing limitation exists. So, we, however, have a good price realization in that particular aspect, and we expect that price to be insulated from all market vagaries, as has happened earlier too. When the coal prices were fluctuating, there was no change in Zambian coal sale realization. So that way, you could expect a steady revenue line as far as coal sales are concerned in Zambia.
Is there some trend in terms of the coal prices? So when we say the prices are isolated, so if the global coal prices are going high, still do we...
Yeah, that is what I was trying to tell you. See, the global coal price trends do not have any impact on Zambian coal prices. For the simple reason, this Zambian coal can't be brought to a port and exported, with the logistics costs becoming a major deterrent. So, though the coal prices across the world have been going up and all, there has been a steady price line as far as Zambian coal operations are concerned.
All right. I have another question. So we discussed about the situation in terms of the recovery of $250 million from the Zambian government. So in terms of that, do we have any expectations like with regards to the recovery in terms of when we will get the payment, or any progress made in that scenario?
Yeah, so I think one thing to note is there is a liquidity issue with the utility and the government as it stands. But on a positive note, I think once the new government has taken over and even the new management of the utility has taken over, we see quite a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, because what we've seen is a real proactive approach from them to actually say we want to resolve the situation, both in terms of the areas and in terms of moving forward with the prospective tariffs. So what we hear are efforts are underway for the utility and the government to secure some loans, large financing, to liquidate a lot of these areas. So nothing has materialized yet, but we are in constant discussions with the utility now in terms of them, paying us what they're owed.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have the next question from Mr. Hanish Aluri. He's an individual investor. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Sir.
Yeah. How much top line growth can we expect from mining in FY23?
I think investors seem to be a little confused about this coal scenario in Zambia. Let me make it very clear. The coal sales in Zambia happen in and around Zambia, and the top line growth has a certain limitation because of the situation, very typical situation that is obtained in Zambia. It is not comparable to any other mineral. It's a high value mineral like a copper. Some investors tend to do that kind of comparison. You must understand the coal dynamics are totally different from that of the copper. So the landlocked situation of the Zambian subsidiary makes it inevitable that we do the geographical sale in and around Zambia, at best to DRC and our neighboring countries. So that way, the top line growth will have that limitation as Ashwin indicated. We expect the ramp up of sales to be about 40K every month. That's, I think it will trail the same kind of price realization as happened last year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Mr. Amanjeet Singh from Oculus Capital. Please go ahead, sir.
Audible? Sir, I'm audible?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. So my question is pertaining to the mining segment. Sir, in the quarter, we've had a top line of 93 crores, but our segmental EBIT shows a 187 crores EBIT. That's a 201%. So could you please explain that?
Give us a moment.
Mr. Singh, could you elaborate which numbers are you referring to?
Sir, I'm looking at the consolidated statements, segmental accounts, after the financials that are disclosed, where you give the segments between power, ferroalloy, mining. So in that, we can see that the mining revenue is 93 crores, but the EBIT, that is the profit before tax and interest, is 187 crores.
One minute, please.
Two concepts here. The mining division earns revenue from two sides. One is sales to external customers, and second is sales to the power plant. So when we are showing the sales in the topmost segment, when you are seeing segmental revenue, that is from the mining sales to third-party customers. Whereas in the EBIT, when you are seeing the mining profit of 186 crores, it is from the sales to the power plant, which is an internal customer, as well as third-party customers.
No, sir. In the revenue also that would be included, right? Because we have an inter-segmental of 186 crores. So the revenue would be both captive as well as external sales, right? So it would be a like for like. The revenue and the EBIT both would be pertaining for captive and external sales, right?
But I'm afraid the revenue here only captured the third-party sales, Mr. Singh.
Sir, but then, sir, why the sudden jump, sir? I mean, in the previous quarter it was 44 crores, right? And the previous quarter to that was 34 crores, and that has been kind of the run rate, in the 35 to 40 crore range. But this time there's a sudden jump to 187 crores, sir.
Mr. Singh, the revenue in the previous quarter was 93 crores.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was talking about the EBIT, sir. The absolute EBIT was about 44 crores in the previous quarter for mining, right? And it's been in that range only, the 34 to 45 crore range. But in this quarter, it has jumped to 187 crore.
Mr. Singh, what we would do is we will revert back to you offline on the numbers.
Okay, sir, because it was a little confusing to me. Because if there is any change in the way you are accounting, because how would we get double the EBIT of the revenue? That was
absolutely right, Mr. Singh. Like I clarified, this is because of the inclusion of the profit from internal sales as well as external sales. Maybe because of some disclosure requirements which auditors have taken this year. We will revert back to you offline through our investors' email account.
Sure. Sir, and just one small follow-up. So, pardon, I'm a little new to the company. So, but what are the discontinued operations that are disclosed, sir?
Mr. Singh, you may be aware that about 2 years back, we had shut down our sugar plant operations in Samalkot.
Okay.
We've been running the sugar plant business. We discontinued that, and we are in the process of disposal of those assets. So the discontinued operations profit is from the additional money realized in the disposal of the assets over the book value of the assets.
Okay, got it. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you, sir. The next question from Mr. Abhishri Shah. He's an individual investor. Please go ahead. The next question from Abhishri Shah, individual investor. Please go ahead. So there's no response from the number. We'll move on with the next question in the meanwhile. Question comes from Sonali Rao, SR Equity Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, good morning first of all, and congratulations for the amazing set of numbers. So my question is this, one long and uncertain area is our MCL power plant. So how is management tackling that? And we aren't seeing any progress being made there. We are continuing the operations without cash coming in. So what would be the inflection point wherein management would take a call of operations, whereas an investor it becomes viable?
Yeah, I think, two things. One is from the time that I think the new government was formed and the new management of the utility took over, we have seen significant progress, which I did reiterate, I think, on a previous question. On the area, the arbitration taking care of it. But on the prospective tariff, moving forward, we've actually made a lot of progress to the extent that we're getting various shareholders' approval to formalize probably a new arrangement, which we would disclose once it's closed. So that would actually take care of the Nava Bharat operations moving forward, and where shareholders and Nava Bharat could possibly see dividends flowing through. Apart from that, although we have been running and continuing operations for the past few years, one thing to note is we are also involved in the operations and maintenance of the company. And we do see revenue flowing in through the operations and maintenance of the power plant at Mamba, which is being done essentially through one of our subsidiaries. So I think in a nutshell, the picture looks a lot better than it probably looked during our last investor call. We've made significant traction, but unfortunately, certain developments, we cannot disclose at this point of time until we receive all shareholders.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we have a follow-up question from Mr. Srinivasa Rao Mandava, individual investor. Please go ahead, sir.
Sir, in the investor presentation, it is mentioned that the management is foreseeing very good demand for energy in South Africa, Southern Africa. Are we allowed to use the Mamba coal mine for production of power in other countries in and around Zambia?
Yeah, so the short answer to that is yes. There's something called the Southern African Power Pool, which is basically a network that connects all the Southern African countries. And in fact, in continuation to probably the previous question, we see a lot of opportunity arising because not only in South Africa, but also in Zambia, Congo, and so on, a lot of companies are increasing copper production and smelting, which requires a lot of power. So we are seeing a scenario now where demand for power is increasing tremendously in that region, but the supply is very limited. So we see that as an opportunity for our plant, and we can really utilize it by selling power to other Southern African nations using the Southern African Power Pool.
Okay, sir. One more follow-up question. What is the plan for monetization of Maulali 64 acres land? Watson?
Yeah, so that's the ULC court case is something that we've been fighting for quite a long time, and we're glad to announce that the verdict went in our favor. So as a company, we are looking to monetize this asset. As you probably know, it's a pretty large amount of land, so monetization of that could take a little time. So, and I think once that is done, as a company, we plan on utilizing that money to definitely take certain corporate actions to improve shareholder value and also help fund growth capital for our existing verticals and for our new verticals and the new verticals that we are getting into.
Okay, sir. Thank you. What about Dharmavaram land and the captive power plant of 20 megawatts? Is it in operation there?
Yeah. So Dharmavaram land and so on, and unfortunately there's been no progress yet, so there's nothing for us to report on.
About the 20 megawatts power unit over there?
It
is in operation?
No, it's unfortunately that is not in operations given the high coal prices. So right now it is still an idle asset, but we're looking at ways to operationalize it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Ms. Monica Arora from Global Secure. Please go ahead.
Congratulations on good set of numbers. Hello, is I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also many congratulations to you for your land parcel getting cleared. So I just wanted to understand what could be the realizable value for the land parcel and by what time we can see the realization is coming in our books.
See, in terms of the value, I think it's a little premature to say that. We are involving a couple of the large real estate brokers, and I think we're still in the initial stages because the verdict recently has come out. And in terms of timelines, like I just said, it will take a little time given the size of the parcel. So it may take a year or two, but as a company, we do our best to monetize it in the quickest possible amount of time.
Okay. And my second question is, have we received our partial award from JESCO of like 250 million? And how are we currently supplying them? Are we still supplying them given that they have dishonored our payments? Just wanted to get a clarity on that.
Well, yeah, with respect to your first question, no, we've not received the 250 million because they've also challenged the award, the interim award of the $250 million. But discussions are currently underway between our company and JESCO in terms of how they plan on, paying the 250. So that process is currently underway in courts and out of courts. In terms of continuing to operate the power plant, I think we must realize that it's not like we're not getting anything from JESCO. Today, on a monthly basis, we get about $11 to $11.5 million every month from JESCO, which is not the full payment of the bill, but it is a significant amount which at least helps us continue running operations and servicing interest. Now, discussions with JESCO are underway and they've advanced very well to figure out a win-win situation for a prospective workable tariff. So tomorrow onwards, there are no defaults in terms of the monthly billing. And I think as it stands right now, for the total amount billed, we have received 55% of what we have billed from JESCO. So the amount outstanding is about 45%.
Okay. Yeah, so that's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question from Mr. Naveen Jain from Front Tree Foreign Tree Advisors. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. First, on your Zambian operations. So you mentioned that you are getting about 11-12 million USD every month, 11.5 million USD every month as payment. I see that your last year revenue or last quarter revenue is about 84 million USD. So is it that on an ongoing basis we are getting less than 50% of what we are billing from them till the resolution happens?
Yeah, so the 11.5 to kind of add has kicked in recently. I think prior to that we were getting between 8 to 9. So JESCO is slowly kind of improving what they pay us on a monthly basis. But and yes, it is 50% or slightly less of what we bill. But I think, as I did mention, we are in discussions at a very advanced stage with them in terms of a tariff that is workable both for ZESCO and for MCL. And I think once that gets all the shareholders' approval, we won't be seeing any deficit on the monthly payments.
Is there a timeline that one can put to this resolution or this discussion? Because it's been ongoing for quite some time.
We're very close to resolving it. I don't want to give a timeline, but I would say just a couple of months away, if not earlier.
Understood. Okay, fair enough. So in a standalone entity, now we are generating good amount of cash, given the cycle, and now we are net cash also. And plus, we expect some sort of monetization to happen, right, from the land bank. So, what is going to be the, let's say, CapEx outlook or, the projects that we will be looking at in the standalone entity going forward?
Yeah, so, I mean, at a macro level, it's basically, I think we want to undertake certain corporate actions which will definitely add the shareholder value. But, as a company now, we finished 50 years. We're moving to the next stage of the company. We are expanding our existing verticals to have a very dominating presence in the domestic and international market in terms of what we do. And we are also planting seed in verticals where we see a very good potential and growth opportunity in the future. So all that requires capital. So I think we will be looking at both these avenues to deploy the cash that we currently are generating and the cash that will be generated from the monetization efforts.
Understood. I think in the last quarter you mentioned about some foray into healthcare, if I'm not wrong. So has there been any progress on that front? And where will this investment come from? From the standalone entity or is it from the Zambia operation?
Yeah, so in terms of the healthcare segment, we're already in healthcare initially in a small way where we have been setting up preventive healthcare medical centers. We've set up one which has been very successful. We've been seeing almost a 70% growth on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So in terms of that, and we're also in pharmaceutical distribution for certain niche drugs. So with respect to the clinics, we do plan on, we see there, especially after COVID, where people are a lot more health conscious, so people are getting themselves screened and treating their allergies and their deficiencies. We see a big opportunity there, and we're looking at probably scaling up and replicating these medical centers in other metropolitan cities. The second question is with regards to funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the initial infusion took place from the parent company, so the Zambian company has nothing to do with it.
Okay, and how much you have invested so far, and what is the plan to invest further into this business? That's my last question.
Small investment. At this point, the outlay is about $4 million, and we expect the ramp-up also to happen gradually. So our expectation is that maybe about $10 million is what we probably will be spending in ramping up these wellness clinics.
Around $10 million.
That's right. Could be spread over a couple of years.
Spread over?
Could be spread over a couple of years.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question from Mr. Chetan Shah from Jeet Capital. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. So just one quick question. You kind of nicely articulated the growth plan and all the other things. I just wanted to understand your view on our core business, which is basically ferro and power, and also our Zambia business, the kind of cash flow which we are generating. How do you see this business shaping up in next 3 to 5 years in terms of your capex plan, expansion, a big picture thing apart from the diversification into a pharma and other businesses, which you just answered the previous analyst. That will be very helpful, please.
In terms of the existing businesses where we have been there for the last few decades, our idea is to have a consolidation in terms of integration and to see that business sustains, notwithstanding the market vagaries, which are very typical of this particular industry. And as far as expansion is concerned, we are definitely looking at, as our colleagues have indicated earlier on, the expansion has to come with a kind of a input security where the efforts are currently underway. Once those are crystallized, the expansion plans also will get fructified. That's the plan. And in terms of sizing or anything, we don't have any specific plan. The idea is that we keep this as the core business activity of the company and look at other areas of growth which could give regular income streams irrespective of how the commodity cycles behave. That's the internal plan of the company. We would probably come back with more crystallized views on this in the coming quarters.
Thanks, sir. Just one last follow-up question on that. When you spoke about your non-core, and pardon me for using this specific word because this is outside of what we are doing over a years, which is a pharma and new age businesses. What kind of capital allocation and opportunity you are looking at in that part of the business? Just being a shareholder, trying to understand that how are we trying to allocate the cash flow which we generate from our businesses to the new business, which has a relatively better visibility in terms of the consistency vis-a-vis our commodity business. If you can just throw some light on that. That's it from my side, and wish you all the best, sir.
Yeah. So in terms of the non-core businesses, I think the two things that stand out is one is healthcare, and the other thing is also the agriculture development, where we're looking at avocado growth and possibly other crops. Now, the reason we're getting into this is we see a very bright future. They're less government dependent. And they have tremendous amount of export potential, especially with respect to the agricultural side. In terms of capital outlay for these, we'll have to come back to you in terms of detailed numbers, but we are probably looking at around $50 to $60 million, but that's spread over a duration of time. But that's essentially what we're looking at.
Thanks. That's very helpful, sir. That's very helpful. Thank you, and wish you all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question from Ms. Abhishri Shah, individual investor. Please go ahead. Ms. Abhishri Shah, please go ahead with your question, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So good morning. So good morning to everyone, and also congratulations on the excellent set of numbers. So basically, I have two questions. What is the roadmap going ahead for the company? Could you also what do you see coming forward?
Yeah. So as I mentioned previously, we're at a very crucial juncture. We've completed 50 years, and we're getting to the next stage. In terms of where we are going now one is we've done very well in our existing verticals. We have a very strong presence, and we plan on expanding that presence, in other geographies. And there are a couple of things that we're looking at, such as the mining in Ivory Coast, the Mamba already, plan possibly expanding, and basically other ventures related to what we're doing. The second thing is, we discussed this briefly based on the previous questions, is planting seeds
in verticals where we see a very promising future and a growth plan. And in terms of that, we are pursuing agriculture, avocado growth to be more specific, and also the healthcare vertical.
Okay. And so one more. What's the power status at our Indian operations? What kind of EBITDA per unit we are making at this point of time? If you could help with the numbers.
The more relevant question would have been what's the cost, that is the cost of coal that is obtained in these power plants. But that seems to be absolutely going haywire with the coal companies resorting to a kind of a discriminatory pricing and availability also becoming a major issue for us. So if you consider that, the EBITDA margins have been there, very comfortable, but what we see is in a specific location-wise, we suffer some forbearance on account of this higher coal cost, whereas in the other location, at least the Coal India seems to be behaving all right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
So we'll move on with the next question. It comes from Ms. Monica Arora from Globe Secure. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for taking my follow-up question. So, as you said that you are receiving $12 million USD every month. So, any backward calculation you have done which you think is a win-win situation, or let me ask the other way around, what tariff, say, revised you are targeting?
So,
I would just, sorry. So, just a directional number, not exact number I want. Yeah.
No, you see, I'm not going to get into specifics because the discussions and negotiations are currently underway. But what I can say is we definitely have done calculations, and I think what we are close to agreeing with the utility and pending all shareholder approval is something that is a win-win and a workable solution for both parties.
Okay. Thank you.
We have a question from Mr. Ankit Sonkia from Oculus Capital. Please go ahead, sir.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity and congrats on the great set of results. Sir, I'm looking at the consolidated financial information, and I saw that the ferroalloys and power segments have come down QOQ, but the extraordinary performance has been done by the mining segment, which went up from 44 to 187 crores. Just want to know how sustainable this performance is in the mining. And from the previous quarter's call, I remember that you had mentioned that the mining in Zambia, because it is landlocked, you cannot sell it to other regions, and you are not getting that kind of benefit in the coal mining that probably the other miners are having across the world because of the higher coal prices. So just want to know what has happened in this quarter, which basically increased our profit from 44 crores to 186 crores, because most of the earnings are coming from this segment now in this quarter.
Thank you, Ankit. Regarding the segmental revenue that you pointed out with regard to power and mining, I think there has been a slight interchange of numbers. So we will, like we told Mr. Singh earlier, we will revert back on the numbers.
Okay. So you're saying there's some issue in the numbers, right?
In the segmental reporting, not on the overall numbers.
Okay.
But there is a growth in power revenues as compared to previous quarters. If you see in the topmost block, there is an increase in power sales from 605 crores in the previous quarter to 717 crores in the current quarter.
Okay, so probably the mining profit is the power profit.
Yes, more or less.
No, Ankit,
We'll get back on the numbers.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on the numbers, but just in general, the mining revenue and profitability is also increasing. I think if you compare it based on the previous year, we have significantly improved in terms of the sales quantities and in terms of the revenue. Yes, we are landlocked, which has its advantages and disadvantages. But what we are finding in Zambia is that the demand for coal is increasing with increase in industries, increase in copper production and so on. We're seeing an increased demand both in Zambia and in Congo, which we plan on, capitalizing. So we see it as a very promising sector for us.
Okay. And when we say inter-segment revenue of approximately 185 crores, this 185 crores is we are selling coal to the power entity, or is there any other inter-segment revenue as well?
Ankit, like we have clarified earlier, there is some slight interchange in the numbers, which will...
No, that includes that includes the internal sale of power in Indian operations as well.
Okay. Okay, so to the ferroalloy segment. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the next question from Mr. Dwaraka Prasad. He's an individual investor. Please go ahead, sir.
Congratulations for good set of numbers. Thanks for giving me opportunity. I observe the company has good cash and doing very well now. Is there any immediate plan for buyback of shares from the company?
There's nothing that we can announce right now. As I mentioned previously, I think we always endeavor to execute corporate actions that will improve shareholder value. The board is deliberating various options, and we will let the public know at the right time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And sir, we have a follow-up question from Mr. Srinivasa Rao Mandava, individual investor. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir, for taking my follow-up question. Sir, are we having any power purchase agreement for NBEIL plant, and what is the source of coal supply to that unit, that 150 megawatt unit in Palwanka?
Unfortunately, there are no power purchase agreements that are in place. What we have been doing is having our dispatch through IEX route mostly, excepting for very short-term tenders that are coming up. Other than that, there has been no PP.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So we have one question from Mr. Vijay P. He's an individual investor. Please go ahead, sir.
Audible?
Yes.
Thank you. My first question is on the ferroalloy fall in sales in quarter 4 versus quarter 3. When you were saying at the end in the quarter 3 conference call that we have fully sold out the production, why was there a fall in sale of silico-manganese from 33,000 in quarter 4 21 to 24,000 in quarter 4 22?
Sure. So in quarter 4, we were indeed sold out, but what happened is that there was a decrease in the production volumes owing to a major shutdown that we had to take in quarter 4. So that's the reason the volumes have come down, and as a result, the sales realization also have decreased slightly.
So when we are saying we are sold out for quarter 1, 23, is that problem going to come again, or we are going to maintain the 125,000 level per year?
125,000 is the rated capacity of the plant. Now, in every year, we do have certain routine maintenance shutdowns which are envisaged. So if you take those into account, the production volumes do drop below the rated capacity of the unit. But going forward for FY23, we forecast to have a higher production volume than we did in FY22.
Okay. Next question is from the dividend point. From the 90 crore dividend that you have paid this year against standalone profit of 381 crore and consolidated profit of 573 crores, it makes 25% of standalone profit and 15% of consolidated profit. Are these percentages going to be maintained in future as we grow?
So I think, as a rule that we've normally followed for dividend declaration, we've been about 20% of standalone profits. And I think, given that this is our golden jubilee year and the profitability that we have attained, we have declared the following dividend.
So this year is roughly about 23%. Is that going to be maintained in future?
Well, what we plan on maintaining, which is the kind of the rule that we are following, is about 20% of the standalone.
All right. Power shortage in Zambia is what you stressed in the earlier talk today. Are there any plans for the extra 300, the new or the expected 300 megawatt plant?
Yeah, so what we've seen actually in the past few months is something that is very promising. We've seen a fair bit of demand both from the Zambian side and from DRC, which is one of the biggest copper producing nations in the world. So it's too early to say right now. I think we need to first resolve the current issue and then have concrete discussions on phase 2. But long story short, I don't think we'll rule it out.
Exactly. That was the point that I was making. What are the chances that Mamba and MCL will be in a Chinese debt trap like Sri Lanka?
No, I think, you're comparing apples to oranges here. We have been servicing the interest that the Chinese lenders are completely aware of the situation. In fact, they are supportive of the situation. We have been discussing with ZESCO in terms of a workable solution for which we've advanced a great deal. So I don't think it's the same situation as what you see in Sri Lanka.
Let's hope for the best. Manganese ore mine in Ivory Coast. Is it located? Where is it located, and is it landlocked?
So it's not landlocked. Ivory Coast is not a landlocked country, and the mine is located about 200 kilometers from the capital, which is Abidjan.
Yeah. Now my question was with respect to with the experience that we have had with Simandou mine in Guinea, which is for last 25 years not becoming operational because it is landlocked. There is no access to the mine. There is no such problem with this manganese ore mine. It is accessible by road or rail.
Yes, you have extremely good infrastructure, good roads and highways that connect the port city, which is the capital, to the mine.
Any timeline for when it will be operational?
So the exploration works are underway right now. We are making good progress in that regard. In terms of the next phase, in fact, in the exploration is to get an assessment of the reserves and also in terms of the quality of the ore. So once we have those data available with us, we can then have a finalized timeline for operationalizing the mine.
My last question, what is the current land price per square meter in Nacharam?
What is the land you're asking about the price in Nacharam?
Yeah, if I have to buy land in Nacharam, price per square meter that I'll have to pay, commercial.
Yeah, Mr. Vijay, I'm not a real estate agent, unfortunately. So, I mean, I don't want to say their prevailing rate.
All right. Now, since you have now earlier declined to what will be the realization on 64 acres. That's why I am putting my question in a different way.
Yeah, but unfortunately, prices move. I think we are engaging experts that do that work and who can get us the best deal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for this call. I would now like to hand over the floor to the management of Nava Bharat Ventures for closing comments.
Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you very much for your participation in the call. I hope we've addressed all the queries adequately. And if there are any questions or clarifications that remain unanswered, please get back to us and we'll be more than happy to provide answers on a wider investor platform. Thank you all once again and stay safe.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude our conference call for today. Thank you for your participation and for using Doorsabha's conference call service. You may disconnect your lines now. Thank you and have a pleasant day.